Very good morning and welcome all. My name is Keshav Murthy. I am the country head for sales and business development of wood, glass, stone and advanced material divisions of Biesse, India. With us, we have Mr. Stefano Botteni, the director of sales and marketing, and Mr. Purohit, who is the product manager of Biesse, India. We would like to thank you all of you for joining us this morning amidst the prevailing epidemic caused due to COVID-19 and the tough times every one of us is going through. We hope that everyone is safe and strong, and we wish that things get back to normal soon. So let me take a moment to introduce Biesse India, which is a direct subsidiary of Biesse Group Italy, a global leader in technologies for processing wood, glass, stone, plastic and metal, operating worldwide through 12 industrial sites, 39 branches, 300 agents with over 4,200 direct employees. In India, we have two world-class manufacturing facilities in Bangalore, spreading over 30,000 square meters with 600 plus employees. More than 1,000 machines are made every year that are exported to 60 different countries. So today's webinar titled Kitchen, the Standpoint of an Italian Designer will be presented by Ms. Nicoletta Cursi, joining us from Italy. Ms. Nicoletta is a leading Italian designer specializing in kitchen industry and comes from production background. She has been working with some of the world-renowned kitchen manufacturers both in Italy and India. Through her vast experience, Nicoletta consults her client with not just the design but also the end-to-end production process. Should you have any questions, doubts during the presentation, please feel free to type your questions to the moderator in a Q&A conversation box below. Later during the dedicated Q&A sessions, we shall discuss the most significant questions along with our presenter for the day. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to Ms. Nicoletta. Thank you. Ms. Nicoletta, please take over the session.
Yes, good morning. Very good morning to you all. And are you hearing me? And I'm very happy to be here. I am a kitchen designer and I have worked very much in India. It is already 15 years that I am working in India. Maybe I am not able to go in the second page. Can you someone help me? Okay. So usually I've been called in India for many skills and many jobs. For me to design without knowing the potential of the factory, it has no sense. So it is very much important to understand what are our potential, and from there we start design, not the contrary, because we have to understand what really we can do. In order to do modular kitchens, the kitchens that we are speaking of today, we have to manage three simple processes that are cutting, edge bending, and drilling the boards, of course. It seems a very simple job, actually, because these are really simple processes. But it is very much important to do these processes in a perfect way in order to reach the perfect design and the perfect quality. Because in a board that is only squared and edge bended, all the defects will be very much evident. So in the modern style, in the style that you are going to approach and that maybe that you are already doing in your factories, it is very much important to be perfect. So also, of course, it is very much important to have machines that are like the Biesse machines. we have to start thinking about the modularity and to fix a range of cabinets that we will going to do. Because only when our modularity, our abaco, let's say, it is fixed, we can really get into each detail and to fix and to arrive to a perfection. If every week we change, we add another module, we change the hinges, so we have to change the holes in the carcasses, and we have to change all the accessories inside, it is a mess, and some detail, of course, we will lose the control of the whole, and we will lose the quality. It is very much important to have new models, so some models that is recognizable, and it is also very important the communication. The communication towards our client, our final client, the architects and the builders, that in India are very much important, because can be the most important client for a factory of kitchens, because when they will not take one kitchen and one kitchen, they will take 200 kitchens, 600 kitchens, and sometimes thousands of kitchens per time. It is very much important for you, and I have been there also in order to make studies and about the competitors, and to understand how much your product can achieve and can be in comparison and win among all the other competitors in the world, because there is always something that you lose and something that you win. No, so maybe you should improve the reason why the Indian market should choose an Indian product instead of an European product. So in this moment, I'm working for the Indian producers. So as I already told you, are very important the relations with local architects and builders, and also a good organization and layout of your showrooms, because it is your first approach to the market. You have to take care of knowing very well all the European accessories and what is available in India, and also the Asian accessories, because nowadays also in India there are very good brands of accessories for the inside, because it is very much important to understand that the inside is as important as the outside. The quality of the kitchen, you feel the quality of the kitchen, especially when you open a cabinet. And of course, sometimes you have to buy, it happens sometimes that someone has the necessity to buy some piece from outside. So some Indian producers has called me also to have relationship with furniture exporters that comes from Italy. So this is a short selection just to have an idea of what I have done in the world. I have worked in Japan, in Korea, so in Asia I have worked very much, and in Mumbai. I first came in India visiting with the stall of my visiting the second edition of India Wood in Bangalore, and from that moment I have been always linked to India. So I have worked with the Italian brand Romano Pucci, and here in Italy, and we were selling kitchens made in Italy. And what I was asking to myself at that moment was, Why in India there are many factories of kitchens, because I knew that very well because I was coming in India very often. Why does an Indian builder choose a small Italian producer instead of choosing an Indian producer? So, and I think, for instance, the one that you are seeing in this slide is a kitchen that we have done for a great name of Mumbai. With a small brand, Italian brand, they had the sensation that and it was really so, it was not only a sensation, that the quality was exactly the quality of an Italian, a big Italian producer. At the same time that we can find some way in order to give them the exact product that they needed in India. Like, for instance, the carcasses very strong, the edge bending very strong. And this is the reason why they preferred to choose a small Italian producer. But in my opinion, it has arrived the time in which an Indian builder should choose an Indian producers, because you have all the best machines of the world there in India. And at the same time, there is the knowledge, what you have to put very focus to the attention in details, and from the very starting processes to the end. Now, in my opinion, it has arrived the time in which India could do products as we are doing in Italy. This is one model, registered model, that I have done for Romano Pucci. It is a very particular model. I wanted to show you this model, not because this model is so important, but in order to make you understand how much it is important to find almost 2, 3, 4 details. It is not necessary very much more, but to give a character to our brand and to be recognized outside. It means that it is very much important to enter into the market with our brand and give some argument that is different from all the others. Someone should find their way and their character. Otherwise, it's only a copying here, copying there, and a fight on the price. So it should be not only a fight on the price, but it should be a fight on the quality and on the character. So what I give to you, it is very special. This gives you the power of having also a margin that is a little more interesting than the margin that you will do in doing fight to each other. It is very difficult to do something that is different when you have to do something in the very modern style, because you know, in the modern style everything is flat, the frontals are flat, sometimes also the handle is not there. So to say something different with doors that are totally flat, with handles that are not there, that the handle is very much important, because the handle of groove or gola, whatever it is, but let's say the system of opening gives, usually it is something that it's going to give a great character to the kitchen. When these elements are not there, it becomes really difficult to make something different. So when the genesis of the model starts always from the abaco. So what you are seeing here, that you know very well if you are doing kitchens, it is the first page of each price list and catalogs of kitchen. It is the modularity. So what are the modularity that I am doing? Okay, it is. So when they told me the smallest element that we are doing is 15 centimeter width, I have thought that maybe I could do something that took into consideration a frame that was 15 centimeter width that could embrace all the kitchen. So I could do a model that was a rounding model, starting from the idea of a quarter of cylinder. So what I have done, it is this model, actually the idea on this model is a quarter of cylinder that stays exactly on the on this position of the composition, so in the outer sides, up and down, and that makes a connection between the final 15 elements of the bases or the tall units, where usually you have a pull-out bottles or also shelves, but usually we use with the pull-out bottles, and that make a connections with the plinth. And when there are the tall units, also with a sort of false frame in the high, so that instead of doing a program of rounded frontals in each size, I only used exactly the same cabinets of our program, of our abaco, and I had only to add at the left and of the right of every composition a piece of 15 in the plinth and 15 over the tall units, and just to connect. So I had to do a quarter of cylinder. That was the connection. Of course, this connection has been done for the depth of the tall units, the depth of the island, that maybe it was 19 of 120 or 60 itself, and for the wall units, when the wall units, of course, were there. So we could do a frame the wall units, and also for other elements, like for instance the hood that we have done just for these kitchens, and the library. So you see that sometimes what is important is only the idea. Now you don't have to do this, of course, but you have to find something that gives the character to your kitchen. In the times, of course, there are always the evergreen that will go always, for instance, the white kitchen with the groove. It will be always a success. But there are many trends in the kitchen, especially these are the latest trends. The latest trends are due and linked to a different use that we are doing of the kitchen. So what is the position of and the rule of the kitchens in a modern home? The rule of the kitchen in a modern home is no more the rule of the kitchen that is closed with the servant inside is not only a place of, like say, of service. It is also a room that can be used and lived closed and open to the living room. So now many times there is an open space that includes kitchen space and living room. This is the reason why the kitchen has become very much important. The design of the kitchen has become more and more classy because it has to be seen. And this is the reason why the kitchen has included also open cabinets, shelves, and open elements. So as the kitchen has been open to the side of the people and of the guests of the home, it has become more open and more, let's say, living locally. So from the kitchen to the living room, we have here the last trend, the glass transparent cabinet with the door in metal frame. And the stone or can be really like laminate stone or some other sheet. Sometimes it is really sheet of stone on vertical surfaces. The library has entered into the kitchen, and also there is another trend that are the suspended bases, or really the exit from the modular system. So the entering of the standalone elements. So the kitchen, as we know now that it is module to module all attached together, start to be a little different because there are also some standalone elements. You see at a glance how much movement there is now in the kitchen, and this impression of movement is given especially from the open cabinets. You see here the open cabinets, how much it will break the monotony of the kitchen, that I always say that, oh, it is a train of cabinet. We have to avoid to do the train of cabinet. Or we find an idea like I have done in the flat closed kitchen, where the character is given in order to give this sense of compact with the join of the four elements in the corner. Or you give some movement with some open elements, but please don't do, if you have, suppose, a kitchen that is a room of 4 sizes. What I have seen in India, sometimes, not always, but it is a mistake that many Indian designers are doing, that they do all very much more monotonous. They cover all the walls with a sort of train of cabinets that is very monotonous to see. So find some solution, put in your range some elements that can break this monotony and that can give to the final designer or the final kitchen some solution in order to have something that is nice, that is with a sort of movement. And you have also to give value to this movement. For instance, as you see here in the first image, the elements that are at size have a different color. In this case, it is very shining yellow, because they wanted to give importance to these open elements. If they didn't do in contrast of color, if they suppose used the same finishing of the internal carcasses, it was not an impression of movement. It was only an impression of, oh, the frontals here are missing. Maybe they didn't finish the installation in a proper way. So instead of being an element that was giving value, it was an element that was not absolutely giving value. So it is very much important to understand that whatever is your courageous decision, you have to go deep into the courage and to give character to your choice with a great shocking decision, like for instance this, that they have found this yellow in order to say, yes, I am here and there is a reason why I am here. I want to be here. Same story, you see, for the open element into the elements, the composition of the tall units, and also little elements that for you, in my opinion, are very, very much important, that are small elements that are positioned in the space between the worktop and the wall units. It is the space of the spices that in India is very much requested. Also, these open elements can be used for spices and all little accessories that you need when you are cooking. And it is a very nice effect. This is done with the new metal elements that are doing a sort of racks. The metal element, the frame in metal, they have entered very much in the new trends. It is something that till 10 years ago absolutely was not even to think to something like that. But it is something that has entered, usually are very dark, like in this case, because they have to give a sort of industrial impact in the modern kitchen. It's very nice. This is also another way to break the monotony of a composition of an island. So the back bases that are composing the back of the island. So you have it is reached doing in the range of cabinet also a lower high of the bases, so that you put also here a worktop, and you have this double worktop, and it is very much important to use the lights, as you see here, because as here, for instance, they have used a shocking color, here they have been using the lights that comes from the out and gives great importance to the choice of this open space under the worktop of the base that is here. There is as ever it has happened, there are some ideas that are into the hypermodern that comes from the past, like the hinges at size. This is a very nice idea in my opinion, because it is a false hinges. Do you remember that in the past the hinges were outside? So these are only inserts that are on the top of the frontal, And they have used this frame, this size, in order to give the impression of an ancient cabinet, but it is only an impression. They have mixed the antique taste in the hyper modern. Anyway, what is important for you is not copying this, but to understand that everyone has to find the element, one element that distinguishes your product among all the others. So this is very much important. It is the concept. Then you will do, suppose, the 80%, even the 90% of your business with the same model that are the evergreen. But to have some model that it is only your idea will help you to get into the market and to be recognizable and to say, that one that has made this. So you must have something that makes you different and recognizable, and therefore something that the other doesn't have, so that people will remember you very well. As we were saying, the glass door in metal frame is a great trend that is now entering in India with a strong way. And of course, if there are the glasses, the carcass has to be different inside. Cannot be the same carcasses, because really it is a part. If there are glasses that sometimes are totally transparent, sometimes are fumé or really dark, but we can see inside. So we have to give great importance also to the inside of what is shown from the glass. This is the reason why you should always to use one or the same finishing of the door, like in this case, or doing a shocking decision, like using some color in contrast. Of course, it's very difficult to find the harmony, but this is a sense of beauty that you should have, or a designer should have for you, because you have to do in your own way. You cannot copy everything, and when you go to change some element or the proportion of the color or the finishing of the glass, the movement and the harmony that you have already seen represented somewhere will go to change. So you will have to find another harmony in what you will going to do. So when you have a glass door in metal frame, you have to give great value at the light that is inside. You see how dramatic effect is the inside dark with the light. It is very nice. And also, as I told you, to find the open element, you can add value to the open element with light and with a back color that is in contrast. Sometimes you find red, green, but plain color that are giving great importance to the open element. Now also, the metal structure at site is very much requested for the composition of the bases. That can be an island or a linear composition to the wall, as in a more traditional way, but many metal elements are included into the composition of the bases. I know for certain that nowadays in India there are many distributors that can provide you all the semi-finished part to build these kind of elements. Be sure that always you find the best quality of material, because from that ingredient depends your recipe. Of course, the perimeter aluminum profile that has entered into the kitchen in order to be frame to your glass door, it is now also arrived as frame into your wood door. I come back. You see that it is very nice that the frame door, as it is here, sometimes it is also where the laminate and the full door, not in glass, is there, just to be a cool and just to match together. So the metal frame, even if it is not requested, because in this case the metal frame is not requested, there is no a glass inside, there is a panel in wood that in this case is laminate, is bilaminate wood. In this case, it is entered into the frontal, into the frontal in laminate because it has to match with all the others. So let's say that for the look of the model, the metal frame has become the element that has given the character to the whole kitchen, starting from the frame of the that was necessary in that case, because it had to hold the glass. In this case is not necessary. It is only to have a look and to give the character to the kitchen, to the model. We were speaking about the fact that the kitchen now is often in an open space that opens to the living room. And so this is the reason why open elements are there and bookshelves or library are needed. So you have to take care that in your range of cabinets also some elements in order to do library are there. Now you see, if you open the TV, if you open everything in the culture of people, there are all these, the new TV stars are the chefs, they are doing Master Chef, this and that, and everyone, so our culture has changed. I have many chefs that are my friends also in India, food blogger, and here and there, that on the social media, on the internet you see. So it's very nice for people to collect these books, and also they see by the internet, but the bookshelf, it is very much important. So don't forget to design elements for this purpose, because of course in the most important kitchens, not in the smallest kitchen, but it is a way to give something that is nice and also to break the monotony of the kitchen itself. As I was saying, the open elements has started a sort of a new wave, and the plinth that was a necessary element, it will be, because I don't think that the plinth will disappear, because in the 99% of all composition, plinth will be there. Our traditional ABS plinth will be there, but with the entering, with the incoming of the stand-alone elements and of the suspended elements, this is an idea that the kitchen has mutuated from the bathroom. Of course, in this case, the plinth disappear and a light, it is at the place of the plinth. Let's say that the light here is the ghost. It is the ghost of the plinth. The plinth has died, and you see that when the suspended kitchen, like I come to the previous step. Here we have a case of suspended kitchen, but because it is suspended attached to the wall. In this second slide, how you can obtain the impression of the suspended kitchen, putting some long invisible glass support under the kitchen. So removing our fantastic adjustable PVC legs and removing the plinth, you will sustain, like floating in the air, your kitchens using invisible glass support, like in this case. So when you enter, you have the impression that your composition of bases is floating in the air. This is another way in which the legs are at sides. Of course, the recommendation is if the legs are at sides, like in composition of standalone elements, like in this case, you have to study and to give character to your legs. That must be really nice at sides, cannot be the legs. Otherwise, it is not a composition of standing alone elements, but it is a composition of traditional elements without the plinth. So in case that the legs are at sight and there is great personality, it is a sort of going back to the past and retake that element from the past. We have to give great importance to the legs. But in my opinion, this kind of I have shown, because I have to show what are the last trends, but will not be winning in India. What will be nice, and in my opinion, what it is having already success in India, it is the monolith kitchen, done in laminated stone, and that gives the impression of a monolith because the worktop will be exactly looking like the frontals and of the side of the kitchen. So if you are going to use the same laminate for the worktop and for the frontals, so for the frontals of the doors and of the drawers, you will obtain, and you remove in this case is really better to remove the handles. You will find, you will obtain a nice look of monolith kitchen that I know that is already having a good success in India. So the last trend, as I was already saying, is coming out of the modular system and find some element. In my opinion, you should all have your standards with all your program, but also trying to do one or two standalone elements in order to give character to your, oh sorry, what has happened? Please, can you, okay, thank you. I don't know what has happened. So, okay. And to give character to your brand, just for a brand positioning, just for the brand positioning the market, do something different. What I have been done in India, it is the Indianizing of the Italian kitchen. That means that this is very much, it is a process very much important, because in this process, in Indianizing the Italian kitchen, you will find the arguments that an Indian producer can have and can beat against the European product in the Indian market. Because each time that I've been there, I remember the first times that they asked me, what is the carcass? And I was saying, oh, it is in particle. Oh, no, particle board, no thanks. Starting from that, I have understood that the use and peculiarities. I also I've been living in India, so I know I know that really our needs are not a speech without sense. It has a great sense, because the use and the Indian peculiarities of the kitchen must be different in many points from the kitchen that we find in Italy or in Europe, because there are elements that are different, and these are the main peculiarities. For instance, Indianizing the Italian kitchen means that I have, with the same design, the same taste, also included all the answers to the Indian questions that the Indian market is asking me. And for instance, there is the space of the water purifier. I cannot do an Indian kitchen, without thinking to the water purifier. But the water purifier in Italy is not existing. There must be special racks for spices, special places for the spices. You have the tally basket that in Italy is not there. You have sometimes requested the open vegetable basket. When you are doing the composition, you have the problem of the solution of the vasto in composition, and that we don't have. And then you have the problem of the moisture, of the humidity. So it is very, very much important to think to the resistance of the materials. So to the resistance of the materials in the carcass, in the worktop, in the hinges that has to work very, very much to open and close, open and close, open and close, and to the accessories inside of the kitchen. Pull-out element, whatever is in metal and that can be damaged from the humidity. It is very much important, as I already started to tell, the perfection in details, especially in the modern, because what is totally flat and square must appear perfect. Otherwise, it will be immediately rubbish. So you have only one thing, one aim. It is the perfection in quality, because it is too much simple, it is too squared and too flat, and every problem you will see immediately. You have always to start. There is no design without quality. So when you start a production of modular kitchen, of whatever it is, in the modern style, especially in the modern style, in whatever is flat, you have to think to the perfection of the calibrated panel, the perfection of the welding in case there are stainless steel elements like worktop or whatever it is at site, and a perfect open book veneer in case of veneer. And you can only have obtained this story validating your supplier, controlling each process very well, avoiding at the maximum the handling in the factory, and doing the last process that is requested, the installation, only in one day, because otherwise you will make confusion. Everything has to be prepared outside. Also the worktop, you don't have to cut on side, otherwise all the dust will go into the rails, into the cabinets. You have to prepare everything and to do only one day installation. So this is my last slide and my last suggestions. Control the processes for the cutting, edge bending and drilling very well. Control the level of your workers, that has to be few but skilled, and train them. Biesse has a school of training for that. And maintains all machines so that you can control the quality level of your processes. I'm finished. I'm not hearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Nicoletta, for the presentation and your valuable thoughts on the latest design trends in kitchen industry. We are sure that there is an ocean of opportunity in the design in kitchen industry. So that it takes us to the question and answer session. Here we have our first question from Mr. Rahul. His question goes like this: what is the approximate investment for starting kitchen manufacturing setup? Kitchen manufacturing setup will consist of beam saw, edge bander, and a boring machine, which will cost approximately 7 and plus access. With this setup, you can complete one house per day with kitchen, wardrobe, and also living furniture. Hope I have answered your question, Mr. Rao. Okay, and here we have a second question from Mr. Harsha. What is the approximate area required for a factory setup? Okay. With this level of machine consists of beam saw, edge bander, and a CNC boring machine, we are talking approximately a minimum space of 5,000 to 7,500 square feet. Also, if it is 10,000 square feet, it will be very comfortable to store your raw material and also plan material flow in a very good way. So this way the process flow in a factory is also very, very important because this gives you very good efficiency to carry out all the operations, store the material, and also to keep the finished goods ready for dispatch. Okay. Here, Nicoletta, you have a question from Mr. Uday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very much. Yes. Please
Okay.
tell me the question.
Could you give us some suggestion about built-in electrical appliances in the modular kitchen?
This is a very interesting
question from. Yeah, please.
Yeah, this is a very interesting question because when I have come in India for the first time, I didn't have this problem because I have been working for IFB, that is a brand of electrical appliances. So I already knew in advance what were the appliances that were put in the kitchen. So I didn't have the problem of choosing because my kitchens have been projected and thinking and designed for those elements. But all of you that you are first of all producers of kitchens, you have to think, as you have a range of cabinets, all the Italians are doing this. They have the range of cabinets, they will sell you the cabinets, the kitchen, together with the appliances. It is very much important that you think of what appliances will go inside there, because you have to prepare the holes in the worktop for the sink and for the hob. But especially this problem is you have to control very much the problem that you will have from the frontal of the ovens, and also for the built-in hood that you can have in the wall unit above the hob, because sometimes the hood, it is built into the wall unit that is above the hood. So in this case, it's very much important that you have a built-in wood, that it will be perfectly included in your wall unit in case that you use a wall that you want to do a linear element of wall units with inside the hood. And but the most part of the problems you will have with the frontal of the ovens, especially if you have a double oven tall unit in which, for instance, the micro is above the oven, the traditional oven. In those cases, since the inside the part that goes built in, there is a body that goes into, and that is a frontal that stays outside on the sides, that hides the sides of the tall element, of the tall unit. Sometimes you will have a problem of matching the body. Sometimes it touch, sometimes you have too much space. And also the drawer that are in the down, and the door, this is the upper door of the tall unit, can touch the frontal in the upper part of the oven, of the micro oven. So you have to take, you are really to take the to start building and projecting the double or the single tall oven unit, starting from the electrical appliances, because sometimes the frontal that has always the same sizes, that is the size of 60, let's say 60 per 60s, is not positioned in the same way attached to the body inside. So maybe the shelf in which the oven is laid must be adjustable. So take care, especially for the ovens and the built-in hood. But for the ovens is where you will have the most part of the problems. So start understanding what are the ovens, then and I would suggest that each production that want really to become a brand positioned in the market. Also, for these are problems really, you say, functional problems. But there is also an impact in the aesthetic view. So you should find 2 or 3 brands, not too much, because to have a character means that you have already filtered your best producers of electrical appliances. When you are looking at that and validating that producers, please take care that you will have assistance for the future, because all the problem of the post selling will be enormous if you don't have a really present producers of electrical appliances. And also find the appliances that are better looking together with your kitchen. But the greatest advice is take attention, put attention in the ovens.
Okay, thanks a lot, Nicoletta. We have one more question from Mr. Vijendra. What are the things one should keep in mind and avoid when you are designing a kitchen, especially when you are new in the business?
All these things that in designing a model or in designing a kitchen? So, hello?
In designing the kitchen.
In design the single kitchen, it means that we are speaking about the composition of the kitchen. So the composition of the kitchen, usually you don't have great chances when you are in a small place. So if you have,
in designing the kitchen, Nicoletta.
In designing the model, you mean? The model of the kitchen. But anyway,
no, the question goes like this. What are the things one should keep in mind and avoid when you are designing a kitchen, especially when you are new in the business? That means what they are really trying to say is what all the things you have to consider while designing a kitchen when you are newly entering to the business. The basic things, what all the things you have to consider.
The first things is to have a range of cabinet, simple and smart, that will give you, so starting from the basic range. And this is very much more difficult to do instead of having great range, large ranges, because you have to optimize. So to make a filter of what will be really necessary and what will be not really necessary. So study a basic line and maybe doing some elements more to add to other that can be like jolly that you will use to have other options. I am more clear. Suppose that you start. You start and you have you want to do a modern line and you have a range of cabinet that has, usually we have all the bases. So some drawers, some shutters, you know, all the sink and the sink and this that. Then there are the tall units. don't do in order to start many tall units. I see many high, because of course if you have tall units of one high, of another height, you will also have a program of all units that will match that. So you will become crazy in doing all the programs for many heights. So do just only one height. Maybe you will do some elements that you can put on in order to have another height. So you will have your frontal in the tall unit that is divided in two pieces with an added element on the top of the tall unit. But start with a very smart and simple range, and be very careful in finding the right supplier, because you must have the panel that has to be very much calibrated, because you are doing a very simple. I have already spoken about the calibration many times. Why? Because many times the boards that I have found in India already done with laminate or melamine were not well calibrated. So, and this was a problem that I had also after, because when edge bending, I had problems because sometimes the board was not sufficient, sometimes the edge was not sufficient, sometimes it was too much because the panel had undulation. It's very bad to see. So you are using few elements, those elements has to be very perfect. You are doing a range, that range has to be smart, sufficient, and very whatever is necessary, nothing more. This will let you to start to be confident with all your little things, and you will grow kitchen by kitchen. Kitchen by kitchen, when you will do a new element, you will test and you will put in your range, so that your range is coming. What I suggest you is that the first kitchen, do prototypes, test prototypes. Whatever you are doing, a new element that is working well, do it in two pieces, one keep apart, and don't change time by time anything, because whatever it is working, you have to fix and not change anymore. This is the only way to grow, because if you start changing one element and another, you will never go. Your kitchen will be always a new story, and you will not have the safety and the control of your job.
Thank you, Nicoletta. That takes us to one more question from Mr. Anil. That is, how much importance is given to edge band tape radius in Europe?
The edge radius, of course, is a great important argument, and it is directly related to the thickness of the edge bending, because of course the radius, you cannot have a radius if you don't have thickness, right? So for all what is inside, for instance, for the radius of the part of the carcasses inside of the shelf of the carcasses is very much important, because the radius gives, it means that the edge banding has a great thickness, and the radius gives also strength to the impact, to the other forces, so it is more resistance. It should be, in case of solid color, there is no problem. Suppose that you are doing a white edge banding on a white door, it is better to have a thickness that is a great thickness with an important radius. So you will see everything that is matching together, and you should not see the line that divides the edge banding from the frontal, right? But we have a problem. So the radius is not always a plus. Why and when? When you have a matrix wood finishing, it's every one of you knows that we have different suppliers of the laminate for the frontals, and different supplier of the edge banding. So it is, first we have the problem that we have to find a finishing that is perfectly matching wood with wood, suppose. No, it's very different. It's very difficult. And if the thickness of the edge banding is important, suppose more than 1 millimeter, the body inside of the plastic will be visible in the side of the frontal of our door or drawer. So when you are using, this is my suggestion, if you are doing edge banding of the frontal of the matrix, wood matrix, or some other finishing that is not plain color, test how much the inside is visible. Otherwise you will see the frontal in wood, then you will see a line in plastic that is the body of the inside of our edge banding, and then you will see the other side, the side of the edge banding, and you will lose the sense that the door is in wood, because you will see the line of the edge banding. So the answer is the thickness and the radius of the edge banding is a great value from a functional point of view, because it is more resistance. Remember that with the edge banding, it is very much important the process of the edge banding and the glue that you are going to use, but this is another chapter, but it is a chapter that is very much related to this story. And don't put great thickness and great radius, of course, in the wood matrix, because it will be too much evident the line between the frontal and the side. I'm not hearing you. Microsoft.
We have so many questions coming in, but I'm really sorry to say we have some time constraint. We will be sending a post-webinar survey to all the attendees where you can mention your questions. We would be really glad to know your question and answer your questions in a much detailed way. Also, if you are interested in some other webinar topic, you can please mention it. We will try to revert you with the webinar in our next session. Now I request Mr. Stefano to take over the webinar to thank the attendees, please.
Thank you, Keshav. Thank you, Nicoletta. Thank you all to be here today with us. We hope that this webinar was interesting and informative for all of you. I'm sure that the Nicoletta presentation has opened the possibility to discuss some of the opportunities that lie ahead in kitchen industry in India and discuss the capabilities and technologies necessary to manufacture them. In line with this, we have scheduled another webinar on the 16th May titled Introduction to Smart Factory, which is to showcase to you Biesse's latest software and how seamlessly our machines can be integrated with one another, creating a smart factory. The details about the next webinar will be sent to you soon. Thank you all again for taking time to join us in this webinar, and we will see you soon. Till then, please stay safe and have a great day ahead. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very
Bye.
much for joining us.